Welcome back to my favorite time of the week. It's challenge, recap, and review time here on the Nullified Take, where we've got the TNT takes for you. I'm your host, Chris, and with me is my ride or die, Kahuna. Kahuna, how you doing, buddy?
Very good, Chris. Happy to always be here for bright and early on a Sunday morning for us here in Australia, but it's worth waking up to discuss one of our favorite shows, The Challenge USA Season 2 with my man Chris with the TNT takes. I'm ready for it, man. Let's go.
I've got my priorities straight, Kahuna. I was at a barbecue last night. I was, having a good time with some friends over here in Melbourne, and I said to them, "I got to leave." And they're like, "It's 10 p.m. Why are you leaving so early?" I got stuff to do in the morning. I got priorities. I got a podcast to do. So, that's when you know that I'm like dedicated to the craft. I've got like blinders on when it comes to this show because I love the challenge. I had some comments on my community post that I did about, the challenge being the only show that I think one of the listeners, I think it was Kiwi Skirt, that said she only watches or he, I don't even know if it's a he or she, they only watch the challenge now. They don't even watch Survivor or Amazing Race anymore because those two shows are just lagging behind when it comes to quality of content.
They full on made the transition, dedicated only to the one thing that just fills that need. And this morning, it's a challenge. We're not turning our back on everything, but
No,
we are
no, we're watching
excited
everything.
always. Oh, everything. We're going to cover it all.
100%. Let's hello to people here in the live. We've got Willie saying, "What's up, guys? Glad to see you all again." Hello, Willie. Welcome back to the live. Elise, welcome back to the live. And Diva313, good morning in Australia. Morning to you as well, Diva. If you're in Australia, I believe you're over in the States. I could be wrong. But yeah, another great week here of challenge content. It was a little bit different this week, wasn't it, Kahuna? Because we got so used to watching 2 episodes per week and they dropped back to 1 episode per week. How did you feel about it? Do you miss the 2 episodes per week? Are you happy to get an episode a week?
I mean, in Australia, our reality TV, I'm used to that. Like, that's kind of what we get when you watch a Survivor or when you watch like a mainstream Australian TV show. They'll show it multiple times a week and just kind of get as much content and wring it out of every drip of content you can. So I'm used to it. So I'm always like okay with it, but it is good to just have 1 episode to get through, 1 episode to digest, and 1 episode to discuss. Makes it a lot easier on people like ourselves who do podcasting and things like that, rather than getting through 3+ hours of content every week.
100%, man, especially if you're like covering some of the other shows as well. Like, I mean, this week I've got the Traders that I did. So that was 2 episodes in Australia. Then I've also got Wheel of Time, which is another 2 episodes we're covering with the Wheel of Time after this, as you dubbed him. And then, obviously challenge content dropping back to 1. I wasn't angry from a podcaster's perspective because it's easier to keep track of everything that happened. But I do think if I was just a casual viewer, I probably would have missed the extra episode of content that the challenge gave us every week. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people here in the live that probably missed the extra episode as well. But let's say hello to Fairy Tiger Wolf as well, saying, "Hey guys, really enjoying this season of the challenge. Been crazy busy lately, but awesome content, guys." Thank you so much, Fairy Tiger. Always good to have you here. You're one of the day ones for us. So whenever you drop in, it does bring a smile to my face to see you back. Diva says, "Yes, in the States, it's Saturday night here." So I was just telling y'all morning. Yeah, fair enough. I should have known by y'all, because that's a very American thing to say, right, Gunnar?
Absolutely. It's not part of our common vernacular here in Australia.
Nope. Well, listen, let's get into the episode. And we start off with something that I keep seeing at the beginning of every episode, but we never really spoke about it before. But they have these beautiful shots of Croatia every time that the show starts. And I'm like, I need to go and visit there. It looks pretty awesome, man. Like, have you done much traveling, Kuna? Like, I don't think we've ever spoken about this because we've never done a travel show or anything like this before. Have you been out of Australia at all? Like, what's on the bucket list? Would Croatia be on the bucket list based on those cutscenes?
I mean, it's beautiful. Absolutely stunning landscape, beautiful scenery that they're taking there. Croatia's never really been at the top of my list, though, to be honest with you. I'm not a big traveler. I mean, if I was traveling, I would be a very big traveler. But no,
you're becoming a smaller traveler week by week.
All
you got to remember that.
I haven't been overseas since I was a kid. I went to the motherland, the Philippines, when I was a child, but not since. You need a few things for that. a lot of travel, and one of those is money, which is one of them don't have a lot of. So I tend not to go too far. And also, when you have 3 kids and a wife, everything becomes exponentially more expensive, and the degree of difficulty goes up. So I'm happy to just play on the home field and take advantage of the home court advantage here. So that's usually our thing.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think that's why sometimes I live in a bit of a bubble because I've traveled a lot, but I'm very lucky in the sense that I can do it. I called Bananas Peter Pan last week saying, that he doesn't want to grow up. I can call a spade because I'm kind of the same, like I still haven't like settled down. I don't have kids yet or a wife yet. So, I can still put a lot of money into traveling and moving around. I have not been to
Do it while you
Croatia.
can, man. Do it while you can.
And listen, that window is getting smaller and smaller. Like, Michaela said, a girl needs to come and find me because, I'm getting older, at some stage I got to make a move. Yeah.
You hear that, chat? Numbers in the chat. Put your phone numbers in the chat for Chris.
This is not a dating show. There's a reason I don't cover a dating show on this channel. We're not going to try and do that. Creepy Uncle Kahuna trying to set me up here. Only way to save Chris's life is with numbers in the chat. Let's have a look at what people are saying here. Lena saying Croatia is beautiful. So I assume, Lena, you've been there before. Lisa saying sounds like she's from the south, like me. Y'all is common in the southern states. It's true. That's true. The person I remember saying it the most is probably one that's not that well liked in Survivor anymore, and that's Russell Hines. I remember him using the y'all quite a lot. He's from Texas, from memory. Danica saying, did you just start? I'm back at the beach, just came back on the con. Yeah, we just started. You're right on time, Danica. Diva saying, Elise, I was raised in the south, but I'm northern. Yes, Diva, hey. I am. I am. Elise saying, cool, Diva, I'm born and raised in Tennessee, still here. Right. Well, you know what? I do. There's some places, like I've traveled a bit in the States, and I haven't gone to the places that people would expect me to have gone. Like I've never been to New York yet. I do want to go to New York at some stage. Never been to Vegas, never been to Los Angeles, like none of those like common places that people go to. So I've been to Florida. Obviously that was my latest trip, was in Florida, Orlando, Tampa. And then I actually lived in Texas for about 6 months and lived 3 months in South Dakota. And I would travel back and forth through the center of America quite a bit. And this was when I had just left school. I did some farm work while I was traveling. So a little bit of travel. Wasn't Russell from Louisiana? Yeah, you're probably right, Danica. I think he lives in Texas. Because I remember, one thing I'll always remember is him and Boston Rob going up against each other and saying it's not about the Red Sox, it's about the Houston Astros, baby. That's one of his lines that he used. So I always remember that. Diva said I was raised in Columbia, Tennessee. So there you go. Florida. Yes, Danica. I loved Florida, by the way. If you get an opportunity to go there, Kuna, like really, really cool people, man.
Florida.
Like it was really cool. Like where I was in Orlando and Tampa was really cool.
I've heard that like Florida, there's the common phrase that people know of Florida man, that Florida has a very specific type of people.
I was warned before I went.
Well, I've also heard from some Americans that Australia as a whole, some of the stuff that we do and get up to kind of gives Florida man vibes a little bit. That like it's a little bit more wild here as far as Western civilizations go. They think of us as like some backwood where we wrestle crocodiles and ride kangaroos and things like that. So it kind of gives a little bit Florida as a whole for the entire country, is what I've heard from some stateside.
This is the thing, man. There's always stereotypes out there about any country. And like when you go there and you engage with the people on a local level, the stereotypes get smashed, in my opinion. And that's why you should never trust the stereotypes.
I don't think I'm being on this podcast to our American friends. I don't think I'm a good representation of what the stereotypical Aussie generally is when they're like, this is what us Australians are like. So yeah, I get that. It's certainly not.
You're the Australian whisperer. You give us like insights into Australia, and I'll get better at it. Like I'm only a month in to being in Australia, but I'll get better as time goes on.
Hey, we'll claim you already.
I'll take it.
Just like Russell Crowe. Just like
Willie Lloyd says New York can be chaotic, but taxis and it has rats in the middle of the city. Wow. King Cooper saying after 8 episodes, I don't think 90-minute episodes is necessary anymore. I agree. I think that it's fine. We know who these people are. We know how the deck has been laid for the rest of the season. We'll talk about that. Probably don't need to go all that deep into it. I'll meet you in New York, Chris. I've never been there either. Well, listen, Diva, I'm probably going to New York at some stage to do a viewing party for Survivor, I'd say, but most likely Survivor 46. I want to go to a Bryce and When Presents, one of their like get-togethers that they do for Survivor at some stage. And if it just so happens that a challenge thing is going on at the same time, who knows? We could definitely talk. We could go and meet over in New York. Elisa's saying if you like climbing or hiking, you'd love. I'm going to butcher this. Chattanooga, Tennessee. The scenery here is beautiful. Right. I'll have to remember that one. I'll come back and take notes after the podcast. This should have been a travel show to begin with. We're getting so many good tips here. Andrew Lee saying, "Do not forget to donate Faisal Retirement. Go fund me."
Still going, is it? It's been a while.
Still going?
That one day he's keeping it open.
But I think it's a smart move for him to keep it open. Like what he should do is keep that open and become more and more annoying every single season. So people are like forced to give him the money. Because if he doesn't win it, he's kind of like double dipping, isn't he? It's like, oh, if I win the money, awesome. If I don't win the money, maybe people will pay me not to come back.
I mean, if that's his strategy, it's going backwards this season because he is disappearing as far as like screen time. So he's less annoying because he's less on our screens. I think he's doing a bit of a quiet act this season.
Yeah. Reality Realness in the live chat. Welcome, Chantal, saying they're doing an RHAP event in New York in October, LA in November. I don't think that I will be able to do anything for this season, Chantal, but next season. That's my aim because guess what? Your boy's got some interviews lined up this week. So I might be back in the employment world pretty soon. So it's going to be a little bit harder to break away, I'd say, within the first 6 months. But maybe next year there will be some opportunity for me to be able to go. Oh, awesome, Elise. First time's the charm when pronouncing, so that's good. Only $85 raised so far. Man, listen, I blame everybody in the chat for Fessy still being on my screen. That's all I'm going to say. If $85 is all we can come up with, then maybe secretly people actually love Fessy Kahuna.
I mean, I think that says a lot. Like the fact that, look, I don't want him on the screens, but I also am not giving him a single red cent. That's for sure. So,
yeah. I think Faisal's going to win us. He or Corey.
Ooh.
Okay, let's get into it. Bold calls being made here. We spoke about the great cutscene and everything that happened with Croatia. Beautiful place to be at. Michaela is happy about being single in the game. She's used to being single in real life, and rolling single within the challenge is also something she feels a bit more comfortable with compared to being in a team. But we do see in the early stages here of this episode, she's starting to cozy up to the banana man, Kahuna. She wants in with the banana man. What did you think of this? Turning her back on Wes, who she was very attracted to in the beginning of the game. And I think the edit showed us that a little bit. She was treated, it was that typical kindergarten thing. You treat them mean when you're interested. And that's exactly what she did, but Wes didn't reciprocate. And now she's looking at Banana Man as an option.
Look, Michaela's smart. She knows how to play the game. Even though she hasn't had too much experience in this game, she is a game player. She's a gamer. And she sees she knows what's going on here. Now that it's individual, and when I get to the end, I'm going to be going against the women and working with the men. And this man here has won 7. He's got 7 rings on his finger. Wes, absolutely smart to be in there, but I'm wondering if Michaela, this made me laugh because she's got such a chip on her shoulder and she's so aggressive and upfront and doesn't take any shit. And I'm wondering if last week's performance from Wes being like, why don't you like me? What have I done to you, Michaela? Yeah. I wonder if she just got like an ick. She's like, oh, Wes is like,
but too desperate.
Yeah, too desperate. Like, as far as legends go, he's like, oh, yeah, all right, mate, you're coming off a little bit too funny. Yeah. And then Bananas, knowing that, yeah, he is an incredible performer. It's not going to work against the women to have a strong man in the game towards the end of in the final. So I think she's seeing, if I want to get to the end, there's no harm in working with someone like Bananas because he's not going to, put down my game, potentially. He doesn't have the same connections in that. So I think it's smart. I like that game recognizes game. She sees greatness in Bananas and she wants to be a part of that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like, we always give Wes a lot of credit for being one of those strategic players within the game. And I'll always love Wes, guys. So in the chat, please don't come for my neck here. But Wes really seems like he's his. I don't know what it is this season. Like, because he's thinking it's his last season, because he's worried about that legacy maybe out there. He's got a kid coming outside of the game. Like, his head does not seem to me to be fully in the game. Now, he's still golden in confessionals. But like you quite rightfully said, Banana seems more confident in his own skin right now. He's like, you know what? It is what it is. If I get thrown in, I've got the experience to come back. Yes, he did also complain in the beginning of the season. He was also not that happy that he was being thrown in and probably would complain again if he was on the chopping block.
Yeah.
But he's using what he's got to his disposal, like talking about the fact that, I might not have youth on my side, but I've got experience. I've done a lot of these things before. I've got certain things in my toolkit where I can give people advice or I can help them through doing some of these dailies, because it's all about pattern recognition, having done some of this before. So I can use my knowledge as currency within the game. And he just seems smoother with it. Like West, I don't know what it is. He's off the pace this season for me.
That's the difference between 7 and 3, right? 7 rings and 3 rings.
Ooh, Kahuna, you're talking my language. My language right now, because Bananas he's been catching a lot of flack before this season. Like I said, I find myself, like, when I first started watching the challenge, I wasn't the biggest Bananas fan, but I find myself, I always root for the underdog. When people start turning on someone, I'm like, oh, give them a little bit of respect, man. Talk about that. Talk a little bit more about that 7 titles here, Kahuna. Let people know.
You can't. It's unimpeachable. Like, West to me is, if you have a Rushmore of men, Rushmore, he's in the Rushmore. He's the top 4 for me, with Bananas, CC, Jordan, West. That's my 4, right? And right now they're unimpeachable at all. But of that 4, West is at the bottom of that, and Bananas is at the top of it for me for now. That may change in all likelihood. Like, CT is right there with him. Jordan's going to be pushing that and probably take over at some point. But right now, Wes is at the bottom of the 4. He's still in the 4. It's no disrespect to Wes, but his track record is what puts him there. And I don't think he's adding to that legacy or in closing the gap anytime soon.
I don't think he's at his prime right now, and this is not saying that he may get this kid do the whole CT, come back 3 years, 4 years from now to get some diaper money, and then have like a different kind of outlook on it. But not that he need the diaper money, because he's doing a lot.
Well, he's
got a
living
lot.
in Kansas City, and
he could sell one of his 5 or 6. I was going to say, he could sell one of his 5 or 6 Lamborghinis, to pay for the diaper money. Like he's doing okay for himself.
Well, Laurel came out against him, saying that, like, he thinks he's rich because he lives in Kansas City when he couldn't cut it in New York or whatever. I'm like, all right, settle down.
That's called being smart.
yeah, exactly.
Why would you go live somewhere and have higher cost of living if you can't afford to live anywhere? And that's, if I had the option to live anywhere, I do like city life. I don't know where I was going to go with that. It's nice to be in the city where things are happening, but still, don't shame him. He's doing all right.
Well, he replied with a picture of steak and lobster cooked by his private chef because he could afford it in Kansas City. So I appreciate that.
Such a Wes thing to do. Such a Wes thing to do, man. I love it. Danica here saying, Wes is married with 3 exclamation marks with a baby on the way. Was it a crush, or was she actually interested? I think she kind of liked him a little bit, but I don't think she was like going to try and I don't think Michaela is the kind of girl to steal a man away from another.
Right?
Yeah, it was game based. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I also do think she kind of liked him a little bit. Who wouldn't be attracted to that beautiful ginger man? With his great personality. I'm straight.
Top's not looking as ginger anymore. The beard is still ginger. The top's not as ginger.
I'm just saying, if I was playing the game with Wes, I might hit on him. And I'm straight. So there's something about it, man. It's got that little white tinge coming into the beard.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of silver fox going
on. Christina, welcome to the live, saying hello all. Great to have you here, Christina. Diva saying CT Bananas, Wes, and Darrell for the top 4. So yeah, but listen, we definitely have that scene. It was an interesting scene to begin with. We've got also here Tyler, Monty, Josh, all talking about taking an L because they lost a big brother number in TIFF going. But interesting enough, Tyler and Monty very well. I knew there was some danger when we finally got Monty's backstory. Let's just put that out there. Whereas like Monty's like, I'm this big fan of Tyler. You know, he played a game that I try to model my game off, or I watched him play before I went to go play Big Brother. It's kind of like classic challenge, right? When they start giving you the backstory, people are in danger. And Tyler and Monty getting suddenly a lot of screen time here in this episode, being aware that they're the frog in the frying pan right now, being cooked or boiled.
Yeah, slowly but surely, like one by one, Big Brother getting picked off. And they can see the writing on the wall, but when you've got the numbers that you do and you include you in your numbers, a Josh and a Fessy that are probably more playing the challenges game or the vets game than Big Brother. Yeah, the water is slowly cranking up and they're getting very, very hot in there in this episode.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see early on here because you also have Josh kind of confirming it in the edit, talking about the fact that he's got his Big Brother numbers, but he's also got the vet numbers. So he feels like the individual game is going to be brilliant for him. But what Josh does not realize yet is that we're going to see some movement with some of the smarter vets here that potentially could put him on the outside by the end of this episode. So he thinks he's got the best lane with Big Brother and the vets, but they're all playing their own game and they're all more experienced than him. So I don't know if that's a good place for him to be right now.
The challenge has shown over and over again, and it's one of the things that we love about it is that regardless of whatever theme they put in place, whatever structure they put in place, whether it's teams, whether it's pairs, whatever it is, the loyalty lies to their friends and to themselves. And it doesn't matter what label they put on them, they're going to play whatever game they need to advance as much. We saw last season, World Championship, even the nations didn't matter. We had Australians turning on Australians, we had Americans turning on Americans, and all it mattered was getting yourself and the people that you're working with to the end. And Josh is finding, and I've said this from the start, this was Corey's issue, is that when you are against you're not in one alliance or the other and you're trying to play the middle, then you don't get taken by either as well, right? You don't get rescued or saved by either as well. And you're kind of putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Yes, you can go from one to the other and float, but once it comes down to the nitty gritty or the needy greedy, as my man Nelly T likes to say, then you're no longer in the core and you're on the outside. So when it's big numbers, sure, you're insulated in the middle, but once it starts getting to the smaller numbers, then you don't have them on your side. So
yeah. Interesting comment here. I didn't see it earlier, but King Cooper, welcome to the live, saying, do you think Wes or Bananas would win in a final? And I've got to say, I think on past performance and on current form, Bananas would beat Wes, I feel like. Because Bananas have been... Actually, Wes ran a final not that long ago as well. I was just going to say Bananas has just done a final, but Wes did do an All-Stars one. But would you say, I feel like World Championship, the finals... No, it wasn't World Championship. It was the main show.
Ride or Dies.
Ride or Dies. The final was a lot harder because it went over multiple days, right, compared to what Wes did. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. I don't know if we're going to see a Wes versus Bananas final this season. I don't think Wes gets there currently. I feel like, but I can see the path for Bananas. I think he's playing a good game. I don't see the path for Wes right now unless he wins his way in the arena to the end. And if he gets to the end by winning in the arena, how much does he have left in the tank when he gets there?
Especially when you consider the opposition he'll be going up against in a Bananas, is a Fessy there. I mean, I've said before, Corey's never going to win, so I'm not supposed to say Corey may get.
I want Corey to win so badly. I want Corey live. Listen, we gotta clip this because Kahuna has been saying for a long time Corey's the worst challenger of all time, right? Statistically, apparently, which I feel like there's a lot of people.
Yeah, he's bad. He's bad. He's.
We need Corey to win.
He's
Get on the Corey train.
Mediocre. He'll get to the finals. He'll never win. He doesn't have the killer Mamba mentality to put it over the line. And I don't mean he's the worst. We've seen bad challenges. I mean, he's now done 9 to 10 seasons without a win, and that's as far as people being considered. He's not a bad competitor, but he's in a 6 here that is considered a legend of the game, right? That's what I mean. Like he is considered. He
wasn't a legend of the game. His mate Nelly T was a legend of the game. He was the one who went.
Well,
they called Nelly T.
That's ridiculous too. So, do you think Nelly T is going to win? He's probably better than Nelly T. He's better than Nelly T. That's for sure. But yeah, I don't think he has it in him to get over the line when there are people like a Bananas next to him. You know what I mean? and Josh will not win this season.
Listen, Andre, what's going on with your takes today, buddy? Like, let's slow down on the Josh train at the moment. But obviously, Josh is getting a lot of credit here in this episode early on because Fessy's saying that Josh is this political mastermind and that he's pretty much just riding that wave with both Josh and Corey. And I do like that for Fessy. Like, if he runs a final against Corey and Josh, chances are Fessy wins in that scenario. Like, we might have a first-time champion in Fessy if he does get to the end with Josh and Corey. He's maybe one of the few people who are actually trying to run the race against people at the end that he can beat. I do think there is a few other people that are now aligning with stronger players in the game that they necessarily won't be able to beat at the end. Like, even in between the Survivor girls, like, all of those girls are pretty stacked. Desi, Chanel, and Michaela all wanting to run the final against each other. It's kind of a little bit of a friendship alliance going to the end, but it's not necessarily going to get you the dub. If I had to choose, like, it'd be tight. I don't actually even know who to choose between them. I feel like it would be Michaela or Desi that would win in that scenario, maybe not Chanel, but Chanel, there's something about her. Like, she's got a lot of power as well. So we've been ranking her really high in our power rankings as well, like for the last couple of weeks, Chanel, because her and Desi, I feel like they're so tight that there's a very good chance they both make it to a final. And Michaela kind of seems to be in with that Survivor Girl alliance as well.
I love this trio. I think, like, last night I watched, have you seen the movie Hidden Figures?
No.
It's such a good movie, but it's about in the 60s, the NASA space program where black women were used as, they're basically geniuses that were used in computing all the maths for trajectories and stuff like that. And a space engineer and the first woman that ran the IBM department of NASA. And I was just looking at it going, this is like the three powerful black women doing something that unfortunately is very rare on the challenge. Like, name another black woman who's won this game, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it would be
And
the last one would be who's it? Amber B, right?
Amber B, absolutely. But I just love seeing these
But
three
she
women
also
together.
but it's an interesting thing that you bring up because Amber B never has allies. Like, she's always hated when
Correct.
she plays the game, and the fact that she even won that season was a bit of a like, it came out of nowhere for her to win that season because like, she didn't have friends. Like, she was kind of on her own trying to get to the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Janae's another one. Yeah,
absolutely.
she's a big one. But again,
And I love seeing them
Janae's
together.
good. Janae's good
Yep.
with alliances and stuff like that. But the last two seasons, she's been on the outs as well.
Correct. But these three banding together, and to be honest with you, I saw it when Desi got the pick, like, by going Michaela, Chanel. Oh, she didn't pick Chanel, but Michaela, Amira, Tiffany. I was like, she's doing something here. She's trying to get like Black Girl Magic all in one team, make sure that they're killing it, and she's doing a great job. They're representing something that has lacked the diversity in the challenge, and to actually be dominant and going strong. And they've picked really, really good people that are smart, strategic, physical. Cam, like, imagine if Cam was running with them as well. Like, I would have loved seeing that sort of thing. But this is a great season to watch
Cam
for that.
pregnant again? Like, chat, let me know, is Cam pregnant again? Or did she just put old baby pictures on, like, Instagram? Because I'm really bad with social. I saw some baby pictures or something recently. Like, if she's pregnant again, man, like, Leroy is, like, working overtime just to, like, get it all done and dusted in the next couple of years. And then, like, leave Cam for us, please. Like, she is pregnant. Oh, well, congratulations to Cam. That's awesome. That's awesome. They're like, let's get this all done in the next 2 or 3 years so Cam can go back and win some money for us on the challenge.
Yeah, she can join Desi and Chanel and Michaela. It'd be great. I'm loving seeing it, and that they're putting on such a strong performance and sticking together and really staying strong is something that we don't often see. Like, people are saying, oh, they're going against the vets, blah blah blah, but they're doing what the vets have done by sticking together and holding strong for their alliance, and I'm down for it. I love it.
Yeah, 100%. We let's move on to the daily challenge here. The daily challenge was an interesting one. They were on a cliff. They had to jump into the water in the ocean, which, for those that have never actually gone to the beach and swam in an open water, it's a lot harder than what it looks. And like those currents can be pretty strong sometimes, and it doesn't necessarily show on TV. Like the waters didn't look too choppy there or anything like that, but currents move underneath the water. So, going out there, having to dive and do this puzzle that they have to figure out,
Mm.
then coming back up, swimming out, and then having to decipher it, get back into the cave, swim, and do another bigger word puzzle. It would have taken a lot of skills, and I can understand why some people really struggled out there. If you're like a medium to average swimmer, it wouldn't be easy to do. And I think this really sets some people apart from each other out here on the challenge. There were a few people that really impressed me, that showed that they've got the capability to do well, and others really disappointed me within this challenge. Obviously, the person we spoke about that probably did the best on this challenge for me was Bananas. Like the guy, like obviously Tori as well, but we'll get to her. From the guy's side of things, when they showed it to us on the screen, Bananas was so far ahead of everybody else on his team when they were doing it. And I love the fact that he wasn't sharing any information. He gave the little bit of a clue of pause. And then it's so funny because I feel like we saw the generational gap here of Bananas, which pause to him is innocent. It's pause of a
Yeah.
cat. And then the kids out there, the younger millennials, they were all like, "Oh, like a video game or like a
Yeah,
movie,"
stop.
pausing it.
Yeah, I like that he chose the one word that would have multiple meanings just to
Do you
cause
think he
that
did
little
it
bit
on
of confusion.
purpose?
No, I
I feel
don't,
like,
but it's
yeah,
so
I don't.
it's so perfect that it was like anything related to cats, and he chooses the one thing that has a double meaning. It's so like it's like it's written down to be that way. Um, yeah, Banana is showing again his greatness. And by the way, people have been coming for Tori this is the personal dislike, the hatred for Tori translates
It's
to
big.
game. And
Yeah,
look what she did. You were saying that Bananas really impressed you. He looked impressive. He was by far one of the best male out there. Another chink in Wes's armor, by the way. Very
mm,
little hearing about how amazing a swimmer he is, and I found that
yeah.
incredible that he wasn't going on about it. But it did work to get him. But I don't know what he was doing looking at the big puzzle. So Wes coming out worse in this, like a little bit on his legacy. Bananas showing his experience and showing what he did, and Tori putting some, putting the haters at bay a little bit. I know Chantel's a big fan of Tori, so I like when Tori can do something well and actually show this is why I am who I am. And 6 minutes she beat Bananas by, which is crazy. Would you have gotten
Yeah.
the actual clue? Like, I think was it Alyssa? She kind of guessed it without even, or Cassidy. Who was the one that sort of said, "I'm just going to take a guess and see if I can get it"? Like, which is insane. Like, I don't know how you pick a random four-letter
No,
word.
Cassidy impressed me because she stuck it out. She stuck it out there when Alyssa S was the one I think that just guessed it. But Cassidy impressed me because when everybody just like, because Tyler made the executive decision of just guessing and left, and then everybody left with him. She actually stuck at it and figured it out, and then she got sort of stuck, I think, in the second section, which is where some people got
Right.
stuck in. So I don't know if I could have just guessed it off the rip. I feel like that's very difficult to do, but I have done some scuba diving before, so I do think I'm okay at going down underwater. And what makes this easier than Survivor is they actually had a rope off the buoy that they could pull as they were
Pulled
going
onto,
down.
yeah.
So it
Yeah.
actually makes it easier. It's a lot harder when you do scuba diving. Well, you got weights, I guess, when you do scuba diving that helps a little bit as well. But it's a lot harder when you've got to swim down to the bottom without the help of being able to pull yourself down. So I think that a lot of people just not being used to going that deep, they were just getting freaked out. Tyler also didn't do as good as I thought he would. Like we thought he'd be a good swimmer because of the fact that he's done lifeguarding before. But I think the inexperience of not having done this before maybe showed a little bit here for Tyler as well. And he didn't go down that deep and just called it quits and wanted to guess his way through it. It's kind of like a West move, trying to game the system, and it kind of backfired a little bit on him. Andre
Yeah.
here is asking, Chris, how well would you have done in this? I think I could have done all right. Like, I mean, it's easy to say when you're sitting on the sidelines and you're looking at it. I'm not like I don't see myself as like the greatest swimmer, but I feel like there was like I'm not bad. Like I'd probably be better than most of the people that were out there. Like I said, with the diving stuff, I'd be all right. The big word puzzle would have probably been the one that would have stumped me as well. Like I feel like because I just think you look at it from the sides, Kahuna, and it looks easy. But when you're in there and the pressure is
Oh
on
yeah,
and
for
people
sure.
are breathing down your neck, like it's so easy. It's so easy to get flustered in a moment, I feel like. And this is where the experience of a Tory and a Bananas is coming into play, and they're staying calm throughout those moments.
I like that Tori, like, of all the clues that were on the word search, like someone saw Panther and realized it was probably going to be cats. She saw the word Broadway. The fact that it was a musical play, like that's the hardest get in all of the
That is
words
the,
that were
yeah.
on
When
there.
she got it, I was like, "What?" Like that's the one I would have probably like. I know Cats is part of Broadway, but I don't know if in the moment I would
I
have
guess
thought
a
about it.
code though, it's only going to be a short one, right? So if it's Broadway, it's going to be cats, going to be Rent or like Wicked, mate. Like actually, even Wicked's probably too. But very impressive from Tori to just get from Broadway, and then she carried it on with the big one as well. Like Wes got to the big board very quickly. Wouldn't tell anyone, but he really stuffed it up on there. So yeah, impressive for Tori to get Broadway to Cats was a crazy jump, and she got it. So yeah,
Oh, was Michelle the one that ended up just guessing through it? Could
right.
be,
Okay. Okay. Yep.
could be. Because Michelle, again, she's good with puzzles. So you look at it and you're like, oh, she'll do all right in it. But yeah, again, I'm with you on this one. Tori did extremely well. It was interesting because the move that kind of gave Chris a little bit of credit for Tori doing so well because they all decided to work together, right? So Chris was the one who dove down and got the first part of the puzzle and then screamed to everybody, "Hey, this is what it is. It's cats. Let's get out of here." So they were all working together. It was Tori, Wes, Seabass, and who was the last person that was with him? Desi. They were supposed to work together. Wes was the only one, right, in that group that didn't want to work with them and just left. It's
Mm.
like, see ya. And I don't hate it from Wes. Like, listen, Wes has already got a big target on his back. Like he needed to get the dub on this one, but maybe if they worked together, he could have built some trust. I feel like that's where Wes is falling short right now, where some people are willing to put the hatchet behind them, like a Bananas, like a Chris, like next episode, who knows? He might even work with a Tyler. He's trying to work with Josh this episode. There are some people
Yeah.
that are trying to go across allegiances to build trust, but Wes is just saying, no, I'm going to do this solo dolo. I'm not working with anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, and we're seeing it's not really working out for him either. He hasn't got the numbers in his vets to protect him as they used to, and he hasn't got the relationships with the rookies that clearly have something out for Wes. So maybe he needs to look at his strategy if he ever comes back again, which we all assume he will and hope that he does for sure.
Yeah, sorry about that, Diva. Yeah, you're right. It was Josh, Chris, Corey, and Desi who were all
Yeah,
working together in the last group. So,
because Josh is a
yes.
political mastermind. That was
And
what.
Josh ended up getting the win. They gave. What did you think? And again, it's interesting here that Chris is like, at some point, I got to like put my trust into other people. I'm going to build social currency. I'll let Josh take the win on this one. Maybe he'll look at me a bit more favorable in the future. Did you like this move from him, or do you think that it's a little bit dangerous giving that much power to Josh in the game?
I mean, Josh, power or not, he doesn't scare me. Like I don't. I think if he got power, like it's not someone that I'd be worried of
You're
how
saying you
he'd
take
wield
him
it.
in a whole brawl, is what you're saying.
No, he's like 6'2" or something. Like he's a big dude, man. I can't even fit in a hall, bro. Like the hall itself, I wouldn't be able to squeeze down it. So like they're not pushing me through it, but that's for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, he's obviously a big dude, but as far he hasn't shown any acumen for the game at all so far. So I'm not too worried if you give Josh the power. That's fine.
You gotta watch out, Kuna. You keep calling Josh out like this, man. He's gonna be one day. He's gonna be like, "Listen, Kuna, I'll take you on in a pole wrestle. Let's go."
Hey, I'll take him
You
on
gotta
in
watch out.
trivia. See what happens. I'll take him on in some maths. 2 + 2, Josh. What is it? Quick.
Take your luck. Take your luck. But yeah, obviously, Tori and Bananas, they win the power here in this specific daily challenge. And this is where, again, the experience of a Tori and a Bananas is coming into play. Wes says that this shows the newbies to the game now that us vets, we're going to be powerful in the individual part of the game. We're going to win a lot of power. And Tori immediately, instead of going up against the strong women in Desi, Chanel, and Michaela, she's willing to work with them in the game so that she doesn't get targeted next. She said there's a time and a place for when you make a move against a powerful player, but you don't want to do it too early because then you're targeted next. Now, some people might not like this move from her, but this has kind of been the move for a very long time in the challenge. Like even in the last challenge USA, you had the people who won power looking after other people who have won power before, because you don't want to piss off the wrong person that may get power next week that can put you in immediately. So I don't hate this from Tory. And the fact that, Tory and Bananas are playing a lot harder, that they're trying to make these deals, they're trying to go out of their comfort zone. This all makes me like Tory this season a lot more than what I have for the last couple of seasons, because she's always been safe. And it again proves what I've been saying. Get better quality newbies in the game that are challenging the vets, and they're going to force the vets to up the level of gameplay that they have each season when they're there. And I think we're seeing it with both Tory and Bananas here, when they're starting to make this alliance with Survivor, thinking about a couple of moves ahead, not just wanting to immediately trim down the numbers that are in the Survivor side.
Yeah, and I appreciate that they're showing that side of Tory as well, because some people have been saying, like, I've heard Tory, I think Drew was saying it actually on Angel Cake, that Tory gets physical eliminations every time. Like, she'll get a physical elimination and it plays to her strengths. But she's showing here she won a swimming challenge with a puzzle. She's showing a smart, and they're showing that, like, she thinks things through. When she mentioned that now that it's individual, there's going to be a new person in power every week. It's not going to be the same team. You have to approach things differently. And like her or hate her, she gets to the end and she knows what she's doing. And we mentioned with Bananas that he draws from years of experience to sort of figure out and game the system. And Tori's kind of doing that in her own way. She's got a much smaller sample size, but with what she's gone through, like, I think in her, like, she's done like 6 or 7 seasons, maybe more, and she's gotten to the finals 5 times, won once. Like, she gets to the end and she goes deep every single time she's on, and this is why she's showing what she can actually do. And whether it's in seasons where she's got her insulation and she's got her vacation alliance and she's got the numbers, then she'll play that. And when it doesn't, she can show her physical individual prowess as well, and she's doing really well. So I think she's going to go far. She's getting to the finals. I don't know if she's going to win. Like, who's left, she'd be in the top 4 for the women as well, so easily.
I found it funny that, she was out there and playing with Seabass and absolutely squashed his heart when he was looking at her with the puppy dog eyes, and she just kept going without giving him the clue. And he's like, oh, I so wanted the clue here. And that just made him like her even more. Like, the guy is
settle
like
down,
absolutely...
Sebastian.
Yeah,
That was like all right, man.
The cringe level from Sebastian. Like, do you think we see Sebastian just back on the show based on the fact that he's so in love with Tori, and they want to see, like, do we get Sebastian and the vampire guy, what was his name? Emmanuel on the same season, fighting for Tori's love in season 40 or something. Like, I mean, Tori's like got a new boo every season. Seabass is not looking at the challenge.
He's not. Once the season's done, she's done. And then I don't know if he'll come back, but
that confessional date was super cringe. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, we're in like the confessional booth, and he's like, "Is this your first time?" And she's like, "Nope." And he's just, "Oh, I wanted to be the first. I wanted this to be the first time."
We're talking about Tori's experience and how smart she is. What about saying to production, "I'm not feeling well. I don't want to go on the night out and go drinking. I'm going to stay at the house and do some stuff with Sebastian." That's what it was. That's all it was. They just said, "I want to stay back at the house so we can censored words."
Yeah.
That's all it was. And that stupid confessional was just, I bet it was production going, "All right, like, we get what you're doing here. We know what's happening. If you're going to stay here just so you can do stuff, we need at least a confessional. Like, we need something for cameras." Because
she looked kind of uncomfortable on that commercial. It's like,
okay, Patricia.
It's like she's being caught in the act.
Seabass, he's almost as bad as Dusty.
Dabu says she goes to the final and gets beat, rather take Michelle or Alyssa. But listen, Tori's won. Why does she need to be afraid of people who've never won the final before? Like, I don't hate it. Like, I'm not disrespecting the level of the girls that she's going up against in the final, but she has won. So she has got the right to have confidence in her own ability, and the fact that she's got experience of having got into a final before and having won it. So I don't fully hate that from her as well. But it's interesting because even in the deliberation talk between her and Bananas had different ideas to Tori, but Tori's the one who actually ended up getting both the people on there that she wanted. She wanted both Tyler and for Alyssa S to be the two people that were to go into the sand. And it was interesting because Bananas tried to like talk around it, maybe get someone else, but she's like, no, this is why we need to do it. We don't want to piss off Survivor when we're trying to work with the Survivor girls right now. Let's go this direction. And he ended up sort of caving and giving her what she wanted there. So she even kind of won that conversation at the end of the day. And we see both lovebirds here being put up for elimination. And Tyler, has to be the white knight and save Alyssa. He's like, no, I'll take all the heat. I'll take everything coming my way. Alyssa crying on his shoulder earlier in the episode clearly had an effect on him. He seems to be all puppy dog and, love heart emojis for Alyssa at this stage in the game as well. And he's willing to put himself in front of an incoming train to try and save her.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that strategy. Certainly not out of like any vet's playbook. Like we've seen Fessy completely turn on people to avoid going in. Tyler's like, take it. I'll like. I think he can see that just doing some surface level analysis, Alyssa up against the other women in the house, he would have a better shot of coming back than she. I think anyone in the house at the moment left, Alyssa's guaranteed to pretty much go home, right? Like there's not many women left in the house that I think Alyssa has any chance against. The
Maybe
weaker
Cassidy.
women have all gone. Maybe like in what? I don't know though.
Maybe, but I think Cassidy will beat her. I think Cassidy will beat her just based on the fact that she's been down there before.
Yep.
And she's a Survivor girl, and they're scrappy. So I feel I'm just saying, out of all of the women, if I was Alyssa, who would I want to go up against? I definitely wouldn't want to go up against anybody else.
And Tyler, based on like reputation that I've heard, is that he can compete. He's very good physically on Big Brother, so he's probably looking at that and going, look, Alyssa's not coming back if she goes down. I have a better chance, and I want her in the house. I want to spend more time with her. He's thinking with other parts than just his bank account. So yeah, like I can see why he did it. I wouldn't do it, but like it makes sense. Like the rudimentary calculations that he did, that was the maths that worked out.
Yeah. So obviously, I saw this comment come in here from Realness Chantal saying, well, Bananas wants all the strong women in the final, so it was a win for Tori wanting to protect Survivor. And even vice versa, Desi wants all the strong men in the final, we find out here as well. So it's very good if you're considered as a man that's not going to let Desi down, because Desi has that bad experience of Enzo quitting on her in the previous final. And she's like, we need the strong men here. So I'm happy for a Bananas to get to the end. Maybe that's something that could save Wes because he's a champion as well. Like we've been hard on Wes so far, but she could look at that. Who else would be in that top 4 men at the moment that would be considered strong? Corey. I know you don't like Corey, but he's got a lot of experience. He's run finals before. And then I think the last spot is open. It's up for grabs between the players that are left in the game. Like you've got Tyler, you've got Chris, Josh and Fessy. There's so many men still left in the game. Like they're going to have to have like a purge pretty soon of the men, or like just going to have to say, well, only men can go home now.
Well, what have we had? Because I mean, that's why Tiffany was calling him out last week, right, Josh, that his entire plan was just to get the women out, because this week made it 5-4. 5 women to 4 men have been eliminated from the game. So if it didn't go Tyler this week, it was going to be 6-3. Yeah. So yeah, it was certainly getting unbalanced.
Because we had one vote on Cassidy with Wes making it very obvious that he was the one who did it. Like Wes is just poking the bear. He's like, oh, I don't even care at this stage. I'm just going to annoy her. And Cassidy is like all frightened. She's like, it's not good that I pissed off one of the best in the challenge history. And I'm like, it's one vote, Cassidy. He didn't turn the whole house against you.
And he's just there giggling about it. I thought that was funny. He didn't, no trying to hide it or anything. He's like, fine. If you have this grudge against me, you think that I'm doing it, I'll do it anyway. I'll do it to your face.
Yeah. So it was interesting to see Seabass cop 6 votes as well, showing that the Big Brother players must have stuck together. Like we didn't see where Josh and Fessy ended up voting, but they needed some of those votes to be within that 6 that voted for Seabass. But ultimately, Monty is the one that cops the most votes. 7 votes all out. Very close vote between the two of them. Survivor stuck together. It's a Survivor versus Big Brother game right now, but Monty's number is called in the hopper, and he has to go down in the arena to play against his best friend in the game in what I think is maybe one of the most brutal eliminations we've seen this season and in a very, very long time. Like, I know that if I was out there, I would have struggled. Like, patience isn't always my best thing. I think that if you're in the arena, you're probably going to like hyper focus when you're doing this, but having to build this pyramid with all these balls stacked on like what do they call it, like a coil, it didn't look easy at all. Like, it looked like a very frustrating exercise. They were out there for 3 hours, Kahuna.
Yeah, one of the longest probably ever, right? I think the only one
Yeah,
longer was the bananas Natalie, like Jesus pose one, like the endurance one. So I think that was the only
yeah,
one. And this had such a high level of difficulty. Like the spool thing seemed to like I don't know how long it took them. Well, I mean 3 hours, but to just get used to the tension. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the delicate balance between how much you can pull without spinning it too hard. Like, I mean, we know that the challenge production doesn't do a lot of testing. They don't have the super testing team that Survivor does, because if they did, they may have seen that this one was incredibly difficult to just
yeah.
have that like.
Does
And
this
so
impress you though? Does this impress you knowing that both Monty and Tyler did not give up? I mean, they were both at points where they were on their way to the buzzer where they dropped all of it and they have to start over. Monty looked like on the edit, he was there
yeah.
first, dropped everything, but somehow they got through this. Like, what does this sort of mean for both of these players for future seasons? Do you think that this sort of takes them up in your estimation when it comes to just willpower and sheer determination, that these are two players that won't quit? Because to me, I was very impressed with both of them for sticking at it. It did not, I mean, we talk about the mental side of it, but they were drenched in sweat doing this as well. Like, this looked just physically grueling, like torture, basically.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like both of them, this is that type of challenge where it's long, it's nonstop, and it requires every part of you. Like they're
Mm,
trying to inch backwards slowly and on their like lifting themselves on their fours and reaching it. Like it was just grueling, I thought. And to have it be like you know how there's different types of like physical activity. Like you can have hard, sharp, like strong aggressive bursts, which would be like a hall brawl, which is short periods of time but massive amounts of energy. And then there's the mental. This is kind of like in between both. And it would be like, yeah, like you mentioned, it's kind of torturous to have that physical ongoing pressure for that long, because any kind of slip, that spool is going to spin too fast along the way. And then you've got the mental side of it as well. I thought it was really difficult challenge, maybe like too hard for this point in the game. Like I thought it was going to get to the point, because we've seen it on the challenge before where they'll just stop it and like redo the rules and like make it
I
okay.
was thinking the same.
Yeah, none
Yeah,
of you are going to do this. We're going to change it to one level of balls, or I don't know what was going to happen, but the fact they even got there at
same.
all was really impressive. I was like, okay, they didn't think this through. This is way too hard. But they both stuck with it. Well
I,
done to
I was
both of them.
surprised they didn't, like, what they should have done is gotten some nice lounge chairs out for them, like, garden chairs or something out for everybody to sit up at the top, bring them some like nice cool drinks, like get like a bit of popcorn, just get everybody in the top to like relax. But all of the people that were sitting there watching it had to be out there in the cold watching this thing as well for hours as well. Elise has got an interesting comment here. She says, fun note, the balls were actually sticky. Monty put sand on the balls thinking that it would help with traction, and Tyler made sure there was no sand so the balls would stick together better. That's according to Monty on the official challenge podcast. And that makes a hell of a lot of sense, because I was looking at it and I was like, balls are not meant to be stacked on top of each other like that at all. So
While on a
they would have
spinning
had to have,
carousel.
there had to be some sort of a trick, but
Yeah.
it looked really, really difficult. And very impressed by Tyler for pulling this one out. Monty gets a very, very strong response from TJ, because I know the fans don't like Monty. The ones that watched Big Brother really don't like Monty for things that happened that season. I didn't watch it until the end of the season. I just know that he wasn't always the greatest towards the player who won that season, Tyler, and there might have been some stuff there that was pretty toxic between them on the show, is kind of what I've heard. But on the show, I think Monty was pretty neutral. He wasn't offensive. He was a likable. If you only watched the challenge, you would like Monty based on the edit that you saw so far. He looked like he took the defeat well. Shook Tyler's hand, was on his way out, and TJ said, I really hope we get to see you again. Like, Tyler really emphasized, not Tyler, TJ really emphasized the whole, I really, so I feel like he's someone we could see again in the future. But you just don't know with the amount of new players we keep getting now from the USA, the main show, and everything going on. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent first season performance by him. He just was a bit bland. Like, he didn't do much for me this season, but he went out like a champ.
I think considering when you say bland, like, yeah, I agree with that. But we've seen people be bland and get lots of callbacks. We've seen people perform a lot worse and get callbacks. I think Monty having the very, very brief little, showing that he wants to stand up to someone like Chris when he had that interaction of like, what are you going to do about it kind of thing. Like, there's that in him, and then a performance like this, he's personable, he's nice. Like, yeah, I think he's done enough to at least get a callback on a a non world championship level season. Like, he certainly can be, like, even in this one season, to me, he'd be a better performer than a Nelly T or a Josh, or even, you know what I mean? Like, maybe not the same drama as a Josh, because he's untouchable in that regard, but he's probably a better performer
Nelly T
already.
and Josh both are better casting choices. Let's be honest, just from an entertainment standpoint, I'd have both of them above Monty any day. But I do get what you're saying. Reality Realness is saying apparently both Tori and Michelle were making moves on Monty. I wonder why. Like, it would be interesting to know a little bit more. Christina B said Monty got nothing personal on his edit. He was a little invisible to me. Diva says, I believe that Reality Realness. And so Monty is the new Fessy. Oh, wow. So you mean like they were trying to like hit on Monty? I thought make moves against them, like in regards to trying to take him out. So he is the new Fessy. Michelle and Tori's got a type, and it seems to be the same type.
I mean, it doesn't look anything like Sebastian. Yeah. I wonder how Sebastian felt about that.
Willie says Monty had potential of doing more seasons. MTV always brings Casey back, so CBS will bring Monty back. That's true. Moves in a hit on him. Yep, we got that. Monty promised his mom no girls, which is why there were no hookups. Yeah, probably because of what happened on Big Brother and it not looking good on him. And then this is the bad thing about the shows like this, Kahuna. It's like, you could be on reality TV once, and all of us, if we have to be honest and look at ourselves, would say, maybe I've done some shady stuff in my life before where it's like, that's not who I am. I'm not defined by this one time that I said the wrong thing to the wrong person or I did something wrong. But when it happens on reality TV and it's like the one time people get to see you, that sticks in people's memory for ages. And Big Brother is brutal because it's 24 hours live feeds. So even if and I don't know the history behind it, this is where I'll have to talk to Chantel about it off air because she followed that season. But even if it's him saying the wrong thing at the wrong time or doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, that's going to be stuck in people's heads forever now moving forward. It might not be that he's a really shitty person in real life. He maybe just did a really shitty thing. I mean, I've got people in my life that I know that have done some shitty things and I'm like, that wasn't good, man. Like, you shouldn't do that. But then you forgive and forget and you move on and people grow and learn and hopefully become better after that, right?
Yeah, and those people don't get clipped and sent viral and tweeted out and on Instagram and basically, you're right, just perpetuated forever in people's memory as that one thing. So it's kind of what, Wes is dealing with, to be honest with you. Like, when he's talking about his legacy and his reputation in the game and what people think of him, that they just won't let him play, it's because, it was 10, 20 years ago when he was a young man, did things that are very different to the way he is now as a grown man. But that's something that he has to put up with because it's part and parcel of choosing to be part of the reality TV world.
Yeah, Paul West with his 6 Lamborghinis, because of the show that he's been on, and now you've got the bad boy reputation. I mean, cry me a river, West. Get over it. You're okay. You're okay. Elise says, I don't watch Big Brother or Survivor, so I have no clue about any of their backstories. W says, Monty and Tyler can both stay gone unless Angela is back. I don't mind Tyler. Listen, I know people are like 50-50 on him. Like, I'm interested to see what's going to happen with this sort of story moving forward, because we did have at the end of this episode Chris saying he wanted Tyler to come back, which was interesting to me because it looked like him and Tyler had beef. But he's like, Chris is the kind of guy that would work with his enemies. He even did that in Survivor. So I feel like he's going to be reaching out, giving Tyler an olive branch, and he knows that there are still some vets in the game that needs to go because they're in his way. Like Chris doesn't want to run a final against Bananas and West. Like he wants to get at least not both of them. Like he wants to get them out of the game. Like he wants an easier route to win the game. Like it doesn't make sense for him. And he's kind of outnumbered right now. Like who's Chris's numbers? It's the strong Survivor girls who are now going to want to keep the strong vets in the game because they've just made this pack. So he might be on a little bit of an island of his own. Tyler could help him in his game.
And we've seen even within the Survivor 7, there's kind of a subdivision as well. It's Desi, Chanel, and Michaela, and then there's Cassidy.
I don't know what Cassidy's
Michelle,
doing. Like,
Cassidy,
and I know
Michelle,
Cassidy's
Seabass, and Chris. Yeah, 4-3. It's kind of breaking down.
And I know Cassidy is a strategic player. Like from her season, she's a strategic player. She doesn't necessarily always take the lead, but she makes moves. So not knowing where her head is at is interesting. And then also not knowing, well, I know where Seabass's head's at, but, also not knowing where Chris's head's at. Like, I guess that's interesting. The survivors aren't fully united as well. Willie says Sebastian could protect Chris. It's possible. I'm not too sure. It looks like Chris and Seabass gets along pretty well. But that's it here for this week. We've gone through all of what happened here in episode 8, Independence Day, on the challenge. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, Kuna. Is there anything you wanted to talk about? Anything you feel like we missed?
Let me just run one thing by you, because this week,
Go for it.
Wes put something on Twitter/X, and I actually replied to him. I didn't get a response back from Wes, but I called Wes out in the legend that he is, and I wanted to run it by you and the chat. He said that this season's final 8 women, right? So final 8 was going back to, I think, Tiffany. The final 8 women on the show is the strongest season of women ever on the challenge, right? As far as from the top 8, he said, like, yes, there's been stronger individual women on seasons, but as a collective, it's the strongest women ever on the season of the challenge. And I was like, that's, I look at it, and when you go, Desi, Michaela, Chanel, Tori, Michelle,
I could kind of agree with it, to be honest.
Cassidy,
Like,
and I was like, the only thing is, and I said to him, I go, look, I think you would be right, except for one season, and this is where him being the genius that he is looks really silly, because to me, it's the most recent season, and he was on it, giving a speech about how they are the future. The World Championship season's women was insane and completely walks over this one. So I called Wes out for that. People were like, actually, yeah, this season's really good. And it is very, very good. And I think
it's strong.
It's very strong. And what it says to me, I'm really impressed that we're seeing back-to-back seasons now where they're casting strong women to actually lift.
Well, don't get too excited. Don't get too excited, because season 39 is around the corner. And I've seen the cast. Obviously, I don't check spoilers for placement, but I always look at the cast before spoilers become a thing for placement. And I remember, and I don't like. I'll have to refresh my memory closer to the time, but there were a lot of like no names coming on to 39. Like not really people who've won the show before or anything like that.
So I feel like it's going to be an anomaly. Like, because we see what they're doing. I think I know what they're doing, right? With 39, the whole like redemption, no winners, no strong people. So specifically, I think it's more to save money so they can spend big on appearance fees on 40. Because that's what I'm hoping. Anyway, I'm speaking to the world that my theory on having an all winners season in 40 is kind of playing out the way they're doing it. Like even by putting people like Fessy and Josh in USA 2, I said before, it's like, you're not going to be on 39 because we're not bringing back vets, right? You're not going to be on 40 because you haven't won. So we're going to put you in USA 2 just to keep you happy and keep you in the rotation. And here's a little thing because you're not getting the next couple seasons, right? Unless it's like in 39, we've seen the cast and I've heard that they're doing Invasion or something like that. Invasion of the Champs. So maybe something along those lines, but I think.
But will the champs actually play though? Like, or is it more like they're in there as mercenaries coming into? Yeah, so I don't think it's the same because Invasion of the Champs they played right from memory. They were in
joined,
the
yeah.
season, so I think, to be honest with you, I've got not the highest of hopes for the Challenge 39. And here's the sucky thing about it is that it's going to be fucking 20 episodes or something like that again. It's going to be a long, long ass season.
And we're getting
it's-
it before All Stars 4. We're getting it October. All Stars 4 still no release, so next year. So like
I know how to
they-
break my heart, man. I just want to
Yeah.
see. I just want to see Cara Maria back on my screen, and they're like, "Chris, we're gonna make you wait. We're gonna shoot. We're gonna film with Cara Maria a year before we actually air this thing." Like they really know how to
Yeah.
annoy me, you know. So
yeah,
yeah.
like Wes calling a shot. Strong season, very strong season, and we're seeing it play out. Amazing women, amazing final.
Loving it.
Yeah, I'm really digging it. It's great.
Loving it. Well, listen, if you got to this point in the live, everybody that's here in the live, we appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for being here and taking part in the conversation. It's a lot more fun chatting with you about these episodes than me and Kuna here talking to a mic on our own. If you're new to the channel, if you've just stumbled across us and you like our vibe, you like the little bit of an international flavor, a little bit of an international perspective on the challenge, then please consider subscribing. We have noticed that about half of you are still not subscribed to the channel when you're checking this out. And, you know, we're not pointing fingers, but we'd love the support. We're 21 subs away from hitting our goal of 2,000 subscribers. So we're getting closer and closer. We're inching our way there. So please help the channel grow. Please hit the subscribe button. Please put a like on this video. Put the notification bell on so you can be informed the next time we go live. And if you're a fan of Wheel of Time, I will be back with Wheel of Time to talk about Wheel of Time. In about an hour's time, we'll do the next 2 episodes. So please come and jump in and say hello there as well. It should be a lot of fun. But for now, everybody have a good Saturday evening on that side if you're in the US, or a good Sunday morning if you're on our side of the world. And we'll catch you guys next week when we talk about episode 9 of the Challenge USA 2. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night. Bye.